Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since you've heard from us or seen from us, but today we're coming back with a video that's very popular on this channel, and I'm going to be reviewing a new Catholic book from Ascension Press. Now this video isn't sponsored by Ascension Press, but they did send me a copy of The Sacred That Surrounds Us by Andrea Zachman. Now the other book that I reviewed was the Bible, of all things, the Great Adventure Bible. Has been very popular in sales, but also a very popular video on this channel. It's the second highest viewed video on our channel, which is really exciting. Now today we have something a little different. We have a guide of sorts, a guide to the sacred, a guide to, I would say, almost the Mass, but certainly a guide to what is in the church. Now at first, when I looked through this book, I was sort of underwhelmed. I was expecting more. I heard a lot about this book prior to receiving it, and I was hoping for a much thicker book. It's a pretty thin book and a little more detail, at least at first glance. Now the book is called The Sacred That Surrounds Us, and the underlying title is How Everything in a Catholic Church Points to Heaven. And so when I first heard about this book, I thought it was going to be a straight up guide and a very theological deep dive into different parts of the church and the vestments and the vessels in the church. And so I expected a much longer book and a more detailed academic text. But that's not what it is. And I think once I switched my perspective on the book, I started to like it a lot more. Now this book, its whole goal is not to purely educate you on the vessels and the parts of the church themselves. It's to show you how we are experiencing heaven when we're in Mass, when we're in the church. One of the great saints said that in Mass, heaven does not come down to us, but we are brought up to heaven. So the church is a heavenly place, should be a place of holiness, a place where God dwells, and how everything in the church is there for a particular reason. And that's what Andrea has done really well here, is explain to you why these things are holy, why these things are calling upon the heavenly. And she did a really great job. It's broken into 3 sections. So first, when you open the book, you'll experience the church itself. So the nave, the narthex, and she brings you all the way through up to the altar and to the things on the altar. And then she takes a step back to what the priest is wearing, the vestments, and things used in the Mass, which I think is really important. And then she finishes off with looking over sacramentals, so the Stations of the Cross, the crucifix itself. And I think she did a really great job at explaining why these things are in churches, because so often do we walk into a church and we wonder, why is this here? Should this be here? Is it necessary? And a complaint that I often have about most churches, it's not heavenly enough. Now what do I mean by that? I mean, it's often very plain, and there's a lot of drywall, and it looks like a big house, a big auditorium. Often doesn't feel like heaven. And what Andrea's pointed out here very well is that we should be experiencing the heavenly in the Mass. And so that's often I think one of my missions in life is to spread that truth, that the Mass is us being pulled up to heaven, and we should prepare those spaces to experience heaven and give God the best. So that's why we need to really focus on having it be otherworldly. Heaven is not earth, and so our churches shouldn't feel earthly, they should feel heavenly. And so that's why, especially in the early days of the church, up until about Vatican II, did our churches feel heavenly. There was materials used fit for a king, because I think a lot of people fall into this fallacy that, well, God was a very humble person. He didn't come into this world as a king. He came into the world as a pauper. He came into this world as a poor man. But we shouldn't treat him that way here on earth. We should treat him as a king. And there's so many rich people in the world that have these houses made of marble and gold-laden detail. And there's so many churches out there that are just simple wood and drywall. I think there's a call that we need to move towards the heavenly. And Andrea did a really great job pointing out that there's heavenly aspects. The Mass and the church is a place of the heavenly. If you want to learn more about that, I really recommend that you pick up this book. I learned a lot. I didn't think I would learn very much from this book, but I learned a lot She really does a great job referencing some old texts, some saints, as well as some modern thinkers. So there's both perspectives in this book. If I were to criticize it to probably 2 degrees, one, I think that there are some really great photos in this book, and I know on the back of the book there's one of the contributors mentioned they really like the photos. I would say yes, to a degree they're good. The photos are well done, but I think the church that they took the photos in wasn't the best example, because there is a lot of that kind of basic drywall looking church. I think they could have done better in terms of picking photos to really kind of call upon that heavenly aspect. And 2, as more of a traditional Catholic and someone who enjoys the traditional rite of the Mass, they left out a few things. One of those being the maniple. I think that'd be really good for her to talk about the maniple, and even a lot of young priests today, even in the Novus Ordo Mass, are wearing those, and what the importance of that would be really cool to see that, as well as the Lucifer candles, the processional candles that we see in large processions, as well as the processional canopy that we often see in Eucharistic processions. So as a more traditional Catholic, I think there could have been a few things more added, but if she was looking to serve the majority of people today in that go to Novus Ordo Mass, I think she really went out and accomplished what she meant when she wrote this book. So again, this is The Sacred That Surrounds Us by Andrea Zachman. If you're looking to learn more about the church and what's in it, not just what we teach and we preach, but actually what's in the church, really recommend picking it up. I think it's also a great book for someone who's new to the church, or may not have gone to Catholic school, or wants a refresher on what's in the church and why it's there. Also a great thing. Right now, this review is coming out during Lent, so if you know anyone that is going to be entering the church at Easter, this is a great gift for them. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, this review. It's a little bit of a short one, but I think we needed that coming back to the channel. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And this video initiates us coming back after our, I think, 2-month break, 1.5-month break. After we came back from Disney, we didn't post yet. So expect to see more vlogs, some more book reviews, and we really like doing Disney videos. So you're going to see a little bit more from us, just giving our tips and thoughts on Disney. We'll see you guys all in the next video. Bye.